Hey everybody, it's still bundle week. We are still live. We were
Yep.
live talking about how you can download the vegan health bundle to a Google Drive or OneDrive. So make sure you guys check that out if you have some questions. I am here with one of my favorite bundle people, Chef Julia, and I just adore you. I adore your cooking. And I love Japanese food, and every year you introduce me to something that becomes my new favorite.
Hmm.
And if you guys didn't see the live, she actually helped Cheryl cook
Hmm.
yakisoba.
It was so delicious, man. We devoured
We
that.
ate every last
Yep.
bit after we got off the live. It was so good.
It really was.
And so, Chef Julia, in case there's some people who maybe don't know who you are or what you do, maybe talk about what you do, what you have in the bundle, all the Chef Julia goodness.
Okay. Well, I'm Chef Julia Donabe, and I do whole food, plant-based, no oil in general. So Japanese isn't the only thing I do. It just happens to be something I love to do because my mother was Japanese, and I grew up eating her food. But what really is my claim to fame, I guess, is I was a regular chef, traditional chef. I went to culinary school, graduated in 2009, and I opened up my business, and it was just your Texas style, bacon wrapped cheese stuffed meatloaf and twice baked potatoes and really, fattening stuff, key lime pie. And I was really popular, and I had classes here in my home. I have a classroom built just for that. And people were coming. I had all my classes were full. But then in 2018, I decided to go plant based because I was starting to have high blood pressure, high cholesterol, getting older, having a lot of issues that I knew it could prevent. And I had read all the stuff about the blue zones and the Okinawa diet and different things. So I knew kind of what healthy eating was. So I said, I'm just going to go plant based. And so I got involved in the City of Fort Worth Blue Zone project, where I went out and did cooking demonstrations to help us become a Blue Zone city. And I started eating that way. And then in 2018, I decided to turn my whole chef business over to nothing but plant based. Well, immediately nobody signed up for my classes because everybody in my area they didn't want that. They wanted their seafood and whatever. So it was pretty slow for 2018. By 2019, I started getting more popular because I had my own chef group on Facebook and YouTube channel, and I was posting on Forks Over Knives group, and so a lot of people were starting to get to know my food. I was posting pictures of it, and they started coming out here to Texas to come to like individual workshops and stuff where I would just help them develop a routine so they could have their own plant-based way of eating. Well, of course, everybody knows in 2020, stop everything, all my
Yep.
classes, all the people that were coming, everything stopped. So, I took the opportunity to learn from people like Kathy and others that going live wasn't so terrible, or going online, doing Zoom classes. And so little by little, I learned how to do that. And, I started, meeting people from all over the world. And so now I have a pretty big following, and I have a YouTube channel with like 225 videos. And now my thing that I love to do is I have retreats where people come. Can take up to 13 people, and they come from 9 to 5. It's one day, and they come from all over the country. It's amazing that people are flying in from Oregon or, you know, Vermont or somewhere, and they're staying in hotels just to come to my 8-hour retreat. So I love it. And
That's
my next one's
wonderful.
in June. So I love doing those because I spoil everybody. I make like a huge, huge breakfast buffet, and I make all these, homemade baked goods and all my granolas and every special thing I've ever made, plant based, sausage, plant based sausage, grits, tofu scramble. So I want to expose them to how delicious our plant based food can be, and let them taste everything. And then we cook a meal together. And then I have Dr. Riz and Maya Acosta will come and do a lecture. And then I have my personal trainer come and talk about strength training. And it's just a lot of fun. And the dogs are here. Everybody loves the boxers. So anyway,
And you have a new one, don't you? You have a
uh-huh,
new
yeah,
baby this
Toshi.
year.
Yeah, he's in there sleeping. But my
He's so
contribution to the
cute.
bundle is the plant-based Japanese, and it is the second edition, so it's different from last year, and it's got different recipes. So I just, I get creative. I start finding new stuff, like the Donabe stuff that I never really wrote recipes about, or I love onigiri, rice balls, and they've become extremely popular in America now, and in Japan even more popular because they're less expensive than sushi. So people are waiting in line for 2 to 3 hours to buy rice balls in Tokyo at gourmet rice ball places.
Oh,
So
Oh,
wow.
that's
that's
become popular. Yeah. Yeah, look on Instagram and look up Onigiri Bongo, Bongo. It is the coolest Instagram, and people wait 2 to 3 hours to eat their onigiri, and it's a little family-owned shop. The woman's had it since 1960 something, and they stand there and they just make fresh onigiri all day long. They have like 50 fillings, and they serve it with all-you-can-eat miso soup and
Ooh.
pickles, like cucumber pickles, and
ooh.
the onigiri are gigantic. And so when I did my Japanese 2 ebook, I have a recipe for the onigiri, but I also have a video that's associated with my ebook where you can go to the link and watch me make it. And I think that's very helpful because I start from the very beginning, from making the rice to making the fillings to filling them and forming them and to the seaweed and to the whole thing. And I think it could be really helpful to somebody who's never really made it before and doesn't really know how. Are
That's
you looking it up
awesome.
now, Kathy?
I'm
She
trying
is.
to,
She's
and
like,
I'm not finding it. But
Yeah,
say it
yeah.
one more time. It was onigiri.
Onigiri,
Got
bongo,
that?
Bongo, Ngo.
Bongo.
NGO.
Let me make sure I spelled it right.
Let's see, because I'm not getting Onigiribongo. Maybe there's
Oh,
a
maybe they have it under bongo onigiri. Look at Bongo onigiri. Sorry, they have it.
bongo.
They have it reversed. No, that's weird.
Because I have to see this.
Hmm.
We'll find it, and then I'll
Yeah.
put. Once we
Okay.
find it,
Yeah.
I'll put it on here too, so everybody else can see it. Because I like
Yeah. That's funny. They
onigiri
didn't just.
for
Yeah.
Cheryl, even though it's traditionally served with a. I like to think of it as
Hmm.
like a little seaweed hand protector. I
Hmm.
leave those
Yeah.
off for Cheryl because she doesn't like
Hmm.
seaweed because it tastes like fish to
Yeah.
her. So
Yeah.
she won't eat my sushi.
Uh-huh.
So I make
Well,
little balls for her.
yeah. And you can put seaweed, like seaweed sprinkles, or I don't know if you saw my recipe for Miso, which is like the crushed sesame seeds, and you put a little sea salt in it, and that makes a really good sprinkle for rice. I
And
think
it's
their
so
site might be
delicious.
down, Kathy.
Okay.
I think their site might be down because I don't see it, but when I find it, I'll send you the link too. So you want me to talk about what I'm making today?
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I've never seen those clay pots that big. The ones
Okay.
I see
Yeah.
at our local Asian market are much smaller, more like
Hmm.
a
They're probably
serving bowl.
more like this size.
Yeah.
Yes, that's what
Yeah,
I've
yeah.
seen before.
This is my steamer. I'm going to steam the gyoza in here. But first of all, let me see my timer. About 9 more minutes. I have a whole assortment here. Let me put my camera over here a little bit. So
Oh.
this is the mothership. This is like the big one. And
Wow.
these Donabe, these are from Japan, and they're from a company called Toiro, Toiro. And this Toiro company uses this ancient clay, and they make these by hand. And you have to really want them badly to pay what they cost because they're not cheap. But they're so beautiful, and the special clay that's used has been around for it's been around since like the year 800.
Oh,
So the
wow.
first evidence of Donabe was like, I think the year 800, where they found writing that talked about Donabe. So it's an ancient form of cookery. And the thing about this type of clay that they use is it conducts heat really well, but it also imparts flavor. There's something about it's just kind of like with all
Huh.
cultures, any kind of bean pot or clay cooking, it seems like the flavor of the food is better. There's something about the way it cooks that the flavor is enhanced. And so with the donabe, you get better flavor. And the other big thing about it is it holds on to the heat. It retains the heat forever. Not forever, but like
Yeah.
let's say that we cook our meal in here and then we want to eat it at the table. Well, with some of them, you get it's like its own little trivet, but this came with one of my pots. You set this on the table and you set your whole donabe on top of it, and then you ladle out the food at the table and you eat it as you go. And then I like my food hot. I don't know, not everybody does, but I think that was something that my mother always wanted her food to be really hot temperature wise. So if you like your food hot, then you set this in the wintertime. It's really nice because in Japan, back, I don't know about now, but maybe not even now, every home didn't have central heating. So in the wintertime or cold weather, one way to keep warm was to eat things where you cooked it at the table. And then you ladled out hot food from at the table. So then you kept warm. And so the donabe has to be on a gas burner. It can't be on an electric stove.
I was going
But
to ask you that because we have an electric stove.
yeah, but the solution for that is in all, lots of Asian homes have these, and I have them as a chef because we take them when we go and do cooking demos. And
Yes.
you put in your butane fuel. I don't keep it in there unless I'm using it, and then you close it up, and then you have a really nice gas flame. Well, the people that don't have gas stoves, and if you want to cook at the table, you just put this in the middle of the table, and then you can have a nice flame, and you can put your donabe on one of these. So
That's a
that's the
great
solution.
idea.
Yeah, and I have this is in my Amazon store, and it's not super pricey. So anyway, this is one for like a whole meal with like what we're going to make today, all the vegetables and stuff.
Ooh.
And then these smaller ones, and I'll do this too. This is one that I'm going to use to steam some gyoza, and I'll start the water here in a second. I'll put it on my burner here that I'm not using because I'll put it on this burner. But it comes with a steaming tray. So I have my gyoza. I got them out of the freezer that I had made, a few weeks ago, and I froze the gyoza and I took it out and I put it on my little steamer tray that fits right inside.
Is
So
that steamer ceramic as well?
yeah,
Oh,
I got too much water in here.
it's beautiful.
And then, so I'm going to steam it. And then last but not least, I'll show you what I've made here. It's not quite done yet, so I'm just going to set it over here. I'll show you the pot, but we can't open it yet. This is a Donabe rice cooker, and it's a special cooker, and I got the timer. It's got 5 minutes left. You can have the most perfect Japanese rice in 35 minutes. So that doesn't include soaking it, but cooking it. So it takes 12 minutes for it to come to a kind of a boil, and then you start seeing the steam come out of it, and then you let it cook for 2 more minutes, turn the heat off, and let it sit for 20 minutes. And there's something about, I guess, the porosity of the donabe or something, but the rice that comes out of this has the most amazing texture, and even the flavor is good, but the texture of it, you'll see when I take it out, it's just like perfect rice. So I did not think about how that would change how Japanese rice is made, because I thought the rice cooker was perfect, but it's even better than a rice cooker. So I can't tell you why and how that works, but it really is good. I'm going to start my little steamer over here just to get it going, and then we'll start with the big thing. So anyway, there's a lady on Instagram, and hopefully her profile is up, named Mrs. Donabe, and she is like the Donabe queen, and she's the one that I found out about where to order all this stuff. Of course, all her dishes are kind of meat based, but you know, she has a lot of good ideas, and she has some vegetable things. But anything she has, I have to modify because it will have things in there that we don't eat, oils and different things. So I can't ever use her recipes completely. But they're pretty good. As far as her book, I got her book and I learned a lot. I mean, I've been studying it like a course, and it has the history of Donabe. It has every kind you could make, and it's just a beautiful book. And a lot of it doesn't apply to us because it's meat based. But I look at that, and I'm not looking at that. I'm looking at the whole other stuff about it, how it's prepared, how the Japanese people use Donabe cooking, and so I've been studying a lot about that. And they even have a Donabe for miso soup. This is a miso soup Donabe.
Oh,
And it's also from that same company, Toiro. It's the most beautiful pot. It's really pretty inside. And what you do is you make your miso soup in this, and then you take it to the table and set it on your trivet, and you serve out your miso soup, and it stays nice and hot and perfect. So in the wintertime, this is a little too big for one person, but I could enjoy my miso soup and it would stay nice and hot. But I did heat stuff up in this steamer size Donabe and eat it right from there in the wintertime. And it was really good. Okay, so then
it's
let's start
interesting,
work.
Chef Julia. It's
Go ahead.
interesting now because I've seen these before, but I've not seen them all side by side like you're saying. So as soon as you were saying this one's for miso, this one's for steaming, this one's for rice, I'm noticing the differences in the shapes of them and everything. Like they're
Yeah.
actually quite different.
Yeah, they have different lids and different shapes. Okay, so before I do this, let me open up the rice so we can see it. It's close enough that we can open it up. And then once we see the rice, I can start making the big pot. So with the rice cooker, it has the main lid, and then it has a second lid. So that's why it's a rice cooker, because it has
That's
that
so
lid.
cool.
And then here's the rice. And if you can see,
Oh my
it's
gosh.
perfect.
It is perfect.
It's kind of sticky, but it doesn't burn on the bottom, and it's not too wet. It's not too dry. And when you put that in your rice bowl, and each grain is separate, like, they are together, but you can see each grain of rice. And I get so annoyed when I see people making rice and it looks terrible, like the rice is all mushy and, stuck together or dry. And I think that's not how it's supposed to be. So I'm kind of a rice snob, I guess, because that's my
okay.
thing.
We
But,
all have our
you know,
things.
yeah.
That's
But if
beautiful,
you,
though.
yeah, it really is. And it's hard to describe how it is so different, but it really is. Okay. So then I've got my steamer heating up. When the water comes to a boil, then I'll put the gyoza on there. So how you normally use, if you just wanted to get one donabe, you could just get one big one and then make main dishes in it. You don't have to, and it doesn't even have to be this big. This is kind of extra big. I have a lot of other ones that I had before I started buying these that are more normal size. In fact, I'll get one in a little bit, but let me get started with this. So with this kind of recipe, you start with a stock. And, this is a really super healthy way to eat, because if you think about it, this is konbu dashi. So with the Japanese, you basically take a piece of seaweed, and this does not impart a strong seaweed flavor for seaweed haters, Cheryl. I mean, it gives a little umami, okay? It's not bad. You won't even know that it had seaweed in it. And it's very subtle. And we're going to put 4 cups of this liquid in here. Now, you can also buy dashi powder with seaweed only, but I don't have that today because I wanted to use something more natural. Okay, now I'm going to put my little the water's starting to bubble on the steamer, I'm going to put my little thing in here, and it comes with a little thing to lift it in and out.
Oh, how cool.
It has this little metal handle so that you're not burning your fingers. So I'm setting that in here, and then I'm going to put the cover on it, and I'm going to let it steam for, I think, about 5 minutes. I'll check it in 5 minutes. I got my timer over here, and we'll see how it looks. So then with this one, we're going to, come on, Stu. I'm going to bring this to a simmer before I put anything in it. And so let's talk about what you can cook in a donabe. So you've probably heard of sukiyaki, haven't you?
Yeah.
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 The Japanese have a dish called sukiyaki, and it's very traditional. It's made with meat and vegetables. And so a lot of Americans are familiar with that because it has beef in it. And then there's shabu shabu, which is where, you get a pot of bubbling liquid, and then you put meat through it really fast. That's another meat-based one. So a lot of these people are familiar with are meat-based. So when you start looking, I'm covering it so it'll come to a simmer faster. So when you start thinking about, well, how are we going to make this with vegetables and make it taste good? So, you just get what vegetables you like. And in my case, I have Napa cabbage, which I love, carrots, broccoli, some of my greens that I use for my Japanese greens, shiitake mushrooms, scallions. And a thing that people don't think about, these are potatoes.
Huh.
And this is just, Yukon Gold potatoes. And everything has been blanched for 30 seconds for the cabbage, a minute for broccoli and carrots, and 2 minutes for potatoes. And the reason for that is because when you're sitting at the table cooking your donabe meal, you don't want to have to sit there and wait 12 to 15 minutes for potatoes to cook or something while other stuff is already cooked. Like your cabbage cooks fast and maybe broccoli cooks fast, but then the potatoes are hard as a rock because they take a lot longer. So by blanching everything ahead so that it's all pretty much ready to eat, then you only have to keep it in the donabe for 3 to 4 minutes, and then it's ready to eat. So you bring the partially cooked food to the table. Now, if you're in a Japanese home and you're a busy Japanese mom, yeah, it's cooking. I don't think they really do that, because I remember when my mother made this, she just brought the raw food to the table and cooked it, and when it was done, you ate it, and you waited until it was done if it wasn't. But, the classier way to do it is bring it all, put it all in, it's done, and then everybody can enjoy it, and you can spoon it out. So, that's what I'm going to show you. And then this is tofu. This is extra firm tofu that I have drained and pressed out some of the water, but I haven't really pressed it a lot, mainly just gotten water out of it. And you don't have to use tofu in this. I just like it because it provides that, the protein. So, and I think it tastes really good because we're going to make a sauce from miso. So this is a miso hot pot. Miso, let's see, what did I call it? Miso hot pot. There's my chopsticks.
Those are awesome.
They're so big.
Cooking's
Yeah,
special for cooking.
These were my mother's.
Really?
These were my mother's, and she used them for she would make these hot pots at the table, and she would always use the giant chopsticks for everything, but I don't usually use them because they're kind of hard to manage. I'm more of what I use is, where did I put them? I brought some tongs in. This is
That's more my style. I'm the person that goes to the restaurant and says, "Can I have a fork, please?"
Yeah, I understand. Okay, so once this water starts simmering, I'm going to add my sauce mixture. It's not quite there yet. Let me turn the heat up a little bit. It takes quite a while for these things to come up to temperature, but once they're up, they stay up. So for the sauce, I have 3 tablespoons of white miso and a tablespoon of red miso. And you can get whatever miso paste you like. This is a Japanese brand I get at the H Mart Japanese store. And but they also in Whole Foods and stuff they have Miso Master. So sometimes I have that. I ran out of the white Miso Master miso, but I have some red left. And the Japanese often combine red and white miso because the combination kind of, is good. It kind of provides a little variety. So I have a little bit of both, 3 tablespoons of white, 1 tablespoon of red. And then I'm going to add a tablespoon of tahini because in a lot of these recipes, they have sesame oil in a lot of their stuff. So whenever I see sesame oil, I think, oh, I'll just use tahini. And I've kind of adapted my taste buds to where I think that tastes pretty good. Now, I don't know, Japanese have a form of tahini and they call it golden sesame paste.
Oh, I
And
didn't know that.
yeah, they sell it in jars on Amazon and it's
Huh.
expensive. Okay, so I'm going to get a little water out of the donabe. It's already pretty hot. And I'm going to mix it with my miso paste. And that's what you do to get your miso paste to dissolve before you put it in a big pot of something. Because if you put just this chunk of miso into your pot of liquid, all that happens is it just stays in a big chunk. It doesn't really dissolve very well. So you kind of have to pre-dissolve it. And this is what you do when you're making miso soup too. You're supposed to take your miso and get some water out of your pot of water or stock or whatever you're using and add it to your miso before you put the miso in. Or the other way is they sell a miso strainer, which it looks like a strainer, and you put the miso in there and drop it into the boiling water. What do you use for yours, Kathy?
I've just done it like you're talking, but I tell you what,
Okay.
you guys can't see me, but every time she mentions something else, I'm like Googling it and having it up for later. So I'm seeing the
Yeah.
miso strainers now.
Yeah. And that's an easy way to do it. You just put it in the strainer and then stick the strainer in the water.
And
And
some
that's
of them
a
have like a
handy.
little bamboo kind of
Yeah, they're
paddle
cute.
that helps you go through. Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah, they're cute. I've always had that. So,
I've
and
never
I
s-
think that's what my mother used.
Huh.
She didn't mess around with, taking stuff in a bowl. That would be extra things to dirty up. Okay, so I've got my sauce mixture pretty good here. And I'm going to, a spoon, clean that off. And now I'm going to add this because my liquid is up to temperature. Well, almost. All right, so we're going to check on the gyoza. So who likes gyoza? Oh,
Oh,
that's
yeah.
ready.
Who doesn't like
You love
gyoza is what
gyoza?
I want to know.
Yeah,
Right. Now you're
yeah,
making me hungry.
gyoza is awesome. Oh, it took the gyoza to make you hungry?
No, everything that I'm seeing, I'm so mad that
Hungry.
you're not bringing us lunch.
Yeah, I wish I could. I have my Indian food from this morning, so I have all of that. And now I'm going to have this, and then I'm going to make pizza tonight. I told my
Oh,
husband, I
fun.
said, well, let's see, you have pizza, Japanese food, or Indian food. Which do you want? And he says, oh, any of it sounds good. So I'm
He's
going
going to
to,
be a happy man all weekend.
yeah, yeah, he's been, and then I went to see my friend yesterday who's going through a really tough time. And I brought her my tofu egg salad sandwich stuff. So anyway, here's my gyoza. That one kind of popped.
So Kathy
And
Salvo
then,
is saying, what is gyoza? So do you want to,
oh,
so
okay. Gyoza is nothing more. Let me get this last one off of here. It's a dumpling. So it's a Japanese style dumpling. And the recipe for gyoza is in my book too. So this gyoza is filled with shiitake mushrooms and vegetables. And in restaurants, they typically have it. It's been pan fried, and it almost always has meat in it. So I wanted to have my own. See how hot and steamy it is? It smells so good. And so yeah, it's just a dumpling, a wrapper, a noodle wrapper filled with vegetables, and then I fold it, that kind of shape, and then You can steam it or you can pan fry it. I've done that. I've pan fried it and then in no oil and then put steam in and steamed it at the end. And how you eat the gyoza, I won't eat it in front of you and make you feel bad.
You
Is
can.
you
It's
just,
okay.
oh,
We
it's
have
so
some in the
hot.
freezer, so go for it.
Oh yeah, you can make it. You put some soy sauce in a container, a dish, and then add a little rice vinegar. And that makes the perfect gyoza dipping sauce. So we won't eat that now because we have to work on our other thing here. But this is my Donabe steamer, and it's so cool because you can make just a little bit for one person. And I like that, that you don't have to commit yourself to having a big mess. You can just have your little bowl and make something. And then if you don't want to steam something, like, let's say it's a cold day and you want to heat up some leftover stir fry or something, you can heat anything in the donabe as long as you don't go crazy with the heat. And then, eat it right from that bowl while it's hot. So you get like this hot dish in a hot bowl and it stays hot. Okay, so I'm going to add my miso sauce to the simmering. It's like a lightly simmering water. It's not boiling because you don't want to add miso to boiling water because it kills all the healthful properties of the miso if it's in too high of a heat. And then we're going to add our other food, and that's the other reason why you want this food to be cooked, because you're not going to be boiling this food. You're lightly simmering it. So I'm going to put in the broccoli. And what I like about this meal is it's really healthy. So if you're, on, let's say, the starch solution or something, and you're trying to eat, as few fatty plant-based foods as you can, and you want to eat more vegetable-based foods and potatoes and fill up, like not be hungry at the end, then this kind of thing is so low calorie density, but so filling because all these vegetables. And they're in a really good tasting broth, so they soak up all the flavor of the broth. And so you could eat a mountain of food basically and, not do a lot of damage in terms of the calorie content, which I like because I like to eat a lot of food. People look at me and they don't think I eat that much, but I eat huge amounts of food. And sometimes people will make comments on my page, on my support group, and they'll say stuff like, I could never eat that much food. They'll see it because I used to post what I eat in a day, and I'll post this big grid of everything I've eaten in a day. These are shiitake mushrooms. Shiitake mushrooms do not have to be pre-cooked. They don't take long. But people would say, oh my, how could you eat that much food in one day? It's like, it's easy. I'm active and I like to eat.
Right?
So,
And when you're
and
eating the
it's
right
plant-based.
foods, there are a couple of
Yeah.
questions while you're putting that in.
Okay. Okay.
Let's see if I can find one of the questions that I had. For those of us who are not fans of seaweed, does one type work better for others in the broth? Was one question. Because you used.
Oh, you could skip the seaweed and just use a veggie broth. Yeah,
Okay.
you can just make this all, like take Better Than Bouillon or your favorite low salt veggie broth or whatever you like. Vegan chicken broth, whatever. You don't have to ever use seaweed in your cooking. We're going to put the greens in after everything is done because they're already cooked. And then we'll
That's
add the tofu.
yum. And
So,
Carrie and Steph are both asking about how you can use the pots again. They came in late. So Chef Julia was saying you do need to use a gas burner, but you could use a portable gas burner as well.
yeah,
You can't do it
like
like I
this.
have electric. But Cheryl has a camping stove, so we could use it on the camping stove.
Yeah, you could. Yeah, it's and then you just need a ladle because when you get ready to serve this, you're going to ladle it out with a little bit of the juice, and you can serve it on a plate with a lip around it, or I'm going to put the cover on it so it kind of cooks it. Or you could serve it in a regular bowl. But how
How did that happen?
I don't know. How is that even possible?
I think it was. Hey guys, I don't know what's going on. I actually literally just shut this and somehow this other one went off, which should not have happened. So I think Chef Julia will be back in just a second.
Let me also,
I think it was just,
well,
oh, maybe not, because you left eCam is on.
sorry.
But hopefully Chef Julia will be back momentarily.
Oh, and you know what's on my computer too?
But no, eCam is going here. This has nothing to do
Okay.
with my computer. This is just a thing, because she was getting really fuzzy anyhow.
Yeah, I wonder if we just
It's
lost
just
it.
so weird that literally I did this and it went away at the same time. It's why we're like all like, wah!
Oh, it's my purple.
Yeah, it says
My
kindness
pinsies.
can't sit down simply because anger has stood up. So it's nice. Okay, because I saw her getting fuzzy, so I was like, let me get off the computer in case there was something going on. Hopefully Chef Julia will come back in. It could also be that something happened with her intranets. But were those not just gorgeous,
Oh my
gorgeous
gosh.
pots?
Oh my gosh,
And
those
so
pots.
I'm over here too, and I put some notes in our chat for the live chat, but yeah, they're a little expensive. But I'm also wondering, we have a couple of Asian markets near us, so they might have some, they won't be the same quality that Chef Julia is using either. But one of the things I was thinking too, the seaweed that she put in the broth, knowing that you don't love it, that's the same seaweed that goes in miso soup that you eat already.
Oh,
So you would be able to eat that broth without any issues. And Steph, that is a good question. Can they go in the oven? I don't know for sure. I would want to know from Chef Julia, but it being ceramic, I would think so.
Yeah.
And I can see if I can find it. Yeah, they were gorgeous, right? Oh, you have I don't know if we have a specific Japanese market. We might. And maybe
don't
that'll be
know.
something to look at, because there used to be in Cary, not far from where the new Patel Brothers is. So that would be fun. There's a really big, giant Asian market in Cary. There's H Mart in Cary, and then we have Li Ming's here.
Do you want to see if she's messaged you or something, maybe?
Let's see.
I wish we had a gas stove, because that would make getting one even a little bit more.
Yeah, but
Nice.
you know, it could be kind of cool. Like with the grill we have. Do we have a burner on that one? A separate burner? So that's gas. So we could use it for cooking. Yeah, I would think that. I think the pots can go in the oven without the lid. Okay, so I'm not sure about that. Hopefully Chef Julia will come back in with information on these, just because I don't have them. I don't want to tell you the wrong thing. And it could be her internet's down, because I do not see her coming in yet. I'll see if she put anything on Facebook for me. But that's okay. Even if we didn't get to see all the way to the end, she was really pretty much ready to ladle things up.
Yeah.
Oh, and Mary says she uses the kombu seaweed when she makes her Instant Pot beans. They're beautiful but pricey. Yes, they are. Yeah, Patel Brothers is a chain. We have probably 8 or 10 in Cary Indian markets. There's a really good organic section at Patel Brothers. There's another more local one that I go to for a lot of things as well. And in Li Ming's, which is an Asian market, they have a tiny, tiny bit of Indian lentils and spices. And I don't know how the cleanup would be, but I would think it would probably depend on if the inside is glazed or not, would change some of it. But here's what I find with the slow cooker, and I don't see why this would be any different, is if you have things stuck on a pot, let it cool if it's your Instant Pot or if it's a ceramic pot of any kind, and let it cool. Then soak it with water, soapy water, and that will get any of the things that are kind of hard and stuck on. It will like moisturize it. and it reconstitutes it, and then it's really easy to get off.
Yeah, we never had any trouble cleaning up that clay rice cooker that we had.
No.
It cleaned up real super easy.
And we missed that. I was looking, I saw one rice cooker that actually has a stainless steel insert, but it got mixed reviews. But yeah, I kind of want that rice cooker. You want that rice cooker, don't you? That's what.
That rice cooker?
Yeah, that she.
Oh, but that would be that would be too much work. Like we'd have to,
Go to we just go outside the door and put it on the grill side. If it does gas, we'll try it out and see.
That's propane, not gas. Is it kind of this? I mean,
Well, that's a gas.
I mean, I know it's a gas, but I mean.
Yeah, it wouldn't matter if it was propane or natural gas. It's still a
Okay.
flame
It just can't,
on top of a grate.
It just can't do electric.
Like if we could build a fire and sit it on top of a grate, it would work too. But we're not going to do that.
No.
Yeah, you have Patel Brothers. Justine does. Let's see what else we've got here. Yeah, so it is so nice to imagine those pots on the table for sure. Yeah, I've noticed H Mart does have a lot of different, and one of the reasons I tend to say Asian market in general is because a couple that we have. So like if we were in a place that had a Japanese market, a Korean market, a Vietnamese market, but usually in our markets, and not, obviously I could be missing some, but like Li Ming's, for instance, they have a section of Vietnamese food, a section of Thai foods, and sections of things. So that makes it a lot easier. In H Mart, I've definitely gotten a lot of Japanese food.
Oh, hold the phone. Look at Betsy. Betsy has a Le Creuset rice cooker.
Let's look that up.
That sounds very, very interesting.
And the Instant Pot is fine. We got spoiled with that beautiful clay rice cooker that we used to use. Oh, I see now.
And, we got that outlet not far from here.
I'm not sure that that's going to be in an outlet, but we can take a gander. But then that also means you have to cook rice on the stove, and I don't know if you would be. Immediately, she's like, "What do you mean? I can't walk away from that? What?
Do you have to stay there with it, or does it do the same thing? You
I
just
don't
set it
know.
and
We
forget?
will research it though.
That would require me to actually.
Here we go. It says waiting for host. Can you go out and try again? Let's see, because it says waiting for host, but you don't have Ecamm actively open and logged in, do you?
I do, but I don't have a live version, I don't think.
Marilyn says there's a new VitaClay multi-cooker. Oh, really? Oh, Betsy says you can walk away from it as soon as you put the lid on. Okay, we'll look into that for sure. This is the beauty of live, and now Max wants to go.
You gotta wait, buddy.
But he's got to wait. Okay, so it looks like Chef Julie is going to be in any minute. So Betsy says basically you put the lid on once it comes to a boil, and you put it to simmer, and you walk away for whatever amount of time it simmers for. Well, we could try that for sure.
Oh, buddy.
What we usually do, and why I like using the Instant Pot or a rice cooker for that, is that we can put it in and it just stays warm automatically until we're ready for it. So if Cheryl knows she has 30 minutes at 11, she can go ahead and make the rice for dinner. But that doesn't mean that this wouldn't work great. What color is your Le Creuset? Mine is whatever I find at the thrift store. So I actually have some vintage ones, but I've got like a blue one. We do get some stuff every once in a while when I can get it from the.
It was on.
Okay.
It's off now.
Okay. So let's see. We are getting there. We're getting there. We're getting there. All right. So, isn't this exciting? Just watching me wait for someone. And poor Chef Julia is trying to come on. And if we have this program open on other computers, it sometimes tells them they're on and it doesn't come on for us. Let's see. Yeah. That is one of my favorite words, automagically.
And you have it turned off on that one for sure, right?
Yes. See, it's not even open.
I'll go double check that other one again.
Well, I think sometimes just things happen, and it's okay. I'm just looking to see if she's given me any messages anywhere and stuff, too. Here we go. Oh, great. But also, she shouldn't have been able to come in here at all. Sometimes I think it just doesn't connect right. I'm so sorry you guys are ending with this. So let's got any questions that are not necessarily about the Donabe, just because I don't know about them. Betsy says, I love all the colors. Apple says, you're a rainbow, and I like that a lot. And Justine says there's electric Donabes. Electric Donabes. I feel like I'm actually at a conference because I have 7,000 tabs open now. Ooh. Oh, there's a Zarushi.
Oh.
That's kind of cool. I wonder how these are.
Oh, baby.
And Max is getting a little bit.
See if I go potty.
Yeah, he might have to go to the bathroom. So you guys can't really see, but there I found this one. And so it looks like it is clay, yes? That's what I'm gonna, and there are more around here. Ceramic surface cooking pan with titanium enhanced nonstick coating, which is kind of what we're looking to avoid a little bit. Apple, are you talking to me? Apple says, your kitchen is so tidy, I might need to do some housekeeping today. That's because you can't see all the stuff I have to put away that's behind the Breville. It is packed behind the Breville. And you can't see the living room, which looks like bundle week is happening. It looks like something has exploded on the other side of this. Oh, that's right, Kitty Mommy, you're going to Japan and Korea. I'm sure you can find vegan, gluten-free food. You can probably find a lot of whole food, plant-based food, but there may be some oil involved. I don't know if you saw the live where I was talking to Chef Yin, and Chef Yin said that when she goes to Korea, it is a little harder to find oil-free foods. So you might do that. Let's see. Oh, and Lydia, you didn't miss anything because it's on. You can watch the replay for the Google Drive and the OneDrive, and we're going to put some videos where you can just watch it separately. We answered a few questions. Oh, so you heard Max drinking his water? That's hilarious. Yes, Max makes a lot of noise drinking water for sure. Oh, and one anti-venom said, I'm so into purple. Love the jacket. Susan says she's enjoying the bundle, thoroughly enjoying the bundle. I've only been able to watch a few videos. However, I seem to make whatever I see. Yes, absolutely. TS, this is a good question. Is the Donabe considered a hot pot? And I'm wondering, again, I'm not an expert and I'm just being introduced to Donabes right along with you. But from what I see, like we have hot pot restaurants, which are actually Chinese restaurants. So I don't know if a Donabe would be the Japanese word for the Japanese version of that, right? And if somebody else knows, please put that in. That's my guess. And Apple said she is talking to me. Just hide things well. That's all I have to say. Yes, I am a master stager. Because Apple's like, my kitchen looks so clean. She has to go clean hers. And I was like, oh, you can't see what all's behind the bread. Yeah.
We got little nooks and crannies you can't see online.
And behind the fridge is where like all the potatoes and onions and stuff like that
Fruit
are.
and everything on that back side of the fridge.
Cheryl likes to talk about that, and it just doesn't exist. But I have beans and spices and soy milk that's cooling. There's so many things there. And one anti-venom just got the bundle last night and can't wait to play. Okay, she's restarting. Dang.
Can we turn interview off and back on? Can we toggle that?
Let's see what happens.
We may get lost.
Okay.
There she goes.
Okay. Hey, I do not know what was going on. We turned interview off and back on again, which I've never done before. So I'm so
Weird.
sorry you've been lost in limbo because that usually doesn't happen. So a couple of questions.
How did that happen? Yeah, it's weird. Oh, well.
Me either.
We're
I'm
back.
so sorry. Is a Donabe considered a hot pot? And what I said for my non-educated, because I said you're just introducing me to Donabe. And I'm wondering, is Donabe the Japanese version of what a Chinese hot pot could be, or maybe not?
Well, you can call it hot pot because that's just a common word to describe it. It's a hot pot. And a lot of different cultures have the equivalent of a hot pot, like the Chinese have their Chinese hot pot. The Koreans have a version of it. So I think, a lot of Asian cultures have something called a hot pot, but they have their own terminology for it and their own culture about it, like where they get their clay or how they construct it, maybe a little bit different, but it's very similar, kind of in the middle of the table, simmering liquid, and food is cooked and you serve it, communally. So I think it's all kind of very similar. But yeah, you can call it hot pot. Donabe is kind of a foreign word that most people in America wouldn't think to use. Okay, so let's go ahead and finish this up while we're still connected. I have my greens. I'll put a few greens in here. They've been blanched. So I just put them in at the last minute because they're fully cooked. And then, while I was not on, I went and found a couple of smaller Donabes. These are inexpensive type that you can get at any kind of big Asian supply store or, order online from Amazon. Here's one, very inexpensive, and you can still cook with them. They still work really well, but they don't cost like the Toiro ones are kind of pricey. But this is like what I'm using. It doesn't have to be quite this big. This one would be fine. And then this is like for an individual size. So then we're going to serve up our meal. And one thing that people do in a Donabe kind of a party or a thing where you're serving it, you give people a plate if you want. You can put this on a plate. It doesn't have to come with a lot of sauce. So let's put it on our plate. But at the end, you could put it in the bowl to use up some of the broth, because we don't want to use up all the broth in the beginning. And we want to keep the food a little separate. You don't want to have all the food mixed together. Here, let's use our tongs. Because that's just the Japanese way. They don't usually mix their food up.
And with the
Go ahead,
broth,
Kathy.
are you saving it in case people wanted seconds and maybe you cooked some more in it, or?
Yeah, exactly. And also the other popular thing to do is, and I cooked it a little too long,
That's
because of
my fault.
the little glitch. No, it's okay. It's supposed to not be quite as cooked as this, but it's still good. There's nothing wrong with it. But it is a little slightly overcooked. But that's okay. You could keep eating it even like this. It's fine. There's the carrots, and then I'll put a couple pieces of tofu. So what you do with the broth, put a little more greens. So this is kind of how I would serve it. Is I would serve it on a plate, but make sure the plate has a lip so it's not falling off the plate, obviously. And then serve some rice. Remember we had our nice Donabe rice cooker. I'll show you where it's
Cheryl
at, where I'm
wants
serving
one
the rice
really
from.
bad, by the way. So you've started something.
Well, you know,
Well, we had a clay
it's
pot.
healthy.
It's true. It is healthy. It is healthy. We
Yeah.
had a clay rice cooker that was electric, and it just kind of it crossed its rainbow bridge.
It
so
started.
to speak.
It started melting itself.
Well, you know, think about getting one of the lesser expensive ones from an Asian store or Amazon or something and experiment with it. But you know, it's like if you're a volume eater and you want to have a big serving of food, it's really great because you can make it even healthier by using less miso paste to make it less sodium. But you know, that's not a lot of miso paste for this would feed, you know, a few people. So I didn't think it was excessive, but some people are sensitive to sodium. But what the other thing that you do with this is after you've served all of the food out of here and there's just a bunch of broth left, is then you take noodles. So you get your you know brown rice ramen noodles that you get, and you cook them in this. You know, so
Oh.
you will pre-cook them so they're cooked, but you know, kind of al dente, not fully cooked, and then just drop them in this hot broth for a minute or two till they're fully cooked. And then that's the final thing to the end of the meal. That's like the finish is you put some kind of udon noodles. It could be soba, ramen, wheat noodles, and you use up this delicious vegetable stock that has all the simmering, you know, the mushrooms and all the vegetables have given it all this great taste. And then you don't want to waste it. So then you cook some noodles. And then, you know, you don't really eat a lot of the liquid with your food. You save it for that ending thing, and or you can just drink it like broth. It doesn't even have to have noodles in it. So then, you know, this part you just eat it like a regular meal. So good. Oh, and we can put some of my sesame sprinkle on it. That's a really good kind of a finish is the little sesame. And it doesn't, you don't add soy sauce, you don't add any heavy seasonings to it because the seasoning of this food is from cooking in all the different vegetables. So it develops this really nice vegetable stock.
That looks like one of my dream meals.
And then the
It
miso
does.
tahini. Yeah. And then you have a little bite of rice. But, you know, that miso broth with the tahini and, you know, the vegetables make their own flavor, like the shiitake mushrooms, and even things like the potato will pick up all these flavors, and the potato will have a really great flavor to it. And so there you go. There's my gyoza made in the Donabe steamer, rice made in the Donabe rice pot, and the miso hot pot plate. And then at the end, we can make our finishing meal with noodles. So when this is really good is you have your friends over, you set the cook thing in the middle of your table, you bring the food to the table, you make your hot pot, you ladle out little bits at a time, everybody eats it, talks, eats it, have a little rice, have some Japanese pickles, everybody gets their full amount, and then you grab some noodles, cook the noodles, pass everybody some soup, talk some more. It's like a communal, fun way to get together and have a meal with your friends.
That's just great. I'm just imagining myself at your house and you feeding me that. Everybody says how beautiful it looks, how good it looks, and then Marilyn is asking, is that recipe in Chef Julia's Japanese 2 cookbook?
Yes, it's in there. Yeah.
And
I'll
what's
bring it up
inside the
closer so you can see it.
gyoza?
I should have my
Oh, wow.
Oh.
the gyoza. What about it? What did
What's
you see it?
inside the gyoza?
Oh, it looks so good.
It's a mushroom, cabbage, onions, carrots, just a bunch of vegetables, and you cook
Yum.
it. So with the gyoza recipe, you cook all the little finely chopped cabbage, mushrooms, carrots, onions, add a little soy sauce, and then you drain it really well, and then you fill your noodles with it, and then you have a vegan dumpling, a
Oh, it
vegan
looks so
gyoza, and
good.
you saw me steam it in 5 minutes, or
Yeah.
you can the other way to make it is put it in a skillet, let the bottom get a little brown, and then add some water, and then cover it with the lid. Now I know I've seen people say, "Oh, I air fry my gyoza." Well, I tried that, and it's not very good to me. It kind of turns it real hard and dry, and I think that these kind of dumplings taste better when they're moist. I don't think they taste good when they've got like a dry shell, unless they're deep fried. Well, then they might be good, but they don't taste good air fried to me. But I did get the instructions for air frying them because people always tell me, "Oh, I like to air fry my whatever," and I think, okay, whatever, you do that, but I'll never do it again.
Well, I
So,
used to always
yeah.
get those like pan fried, right? And they would pan fry in
Yeah, yeah.
places, and I thought that was the only way that you could eat them. Like that's how I had always been
Yeah.
introduced to them. And then one time we were
Yeah.
somewhere and Kathy was like, "Do you want fried or steamed?" And I was like, "Wait, what?" And she goes, "Let's get steamed. They're better for you." And I was like, "Okay." And once I had the steamed ones, I've never done the pan fried ones again. Like the steamed ones are
Yeah.
just so
Yeah.
perfect, and like you said, that moisture.
Yeah. And you can use any kind of steamer, like, the Japanese or Chinese dumpling steamers made out of bamboo are real popular. You set them in a regular steamer, but I've used like just an American style steaming pot that has a perforated top, and just set them on a piece of parchment paper so that they don't kind of get caught in the little holes. But yeah, they're easy to make. So now you have a whole new, Kathy and Cheryl, you have a whole new thing that you have to. I know you guys like to experiment with your food, so this is maybe something totally different that you haven't really made before.
Well, we can't wait.
Yeah.
You got to come over a
Yeah,
little
I'm
bit.
trying.
We're
Get
in the
over.
squares again.
Okay.
Justine says, what is Chef Julia's best suggestion for cooking this recipe if we don't have a Donabe?
You could use a skillet. Excuse me. Like if you have a big 12-inch skillet, you can, and especially if you have a deep skillet. Like I have a really big, deep, extra deep skillet, like a 12-inch skillet, but it's deep, and something like that would work. Or how my mother would make this kind of food back when we didn't have stuff like this and we had electric stoves, is she had an electric skillet. Excuse me. So just a cheap electric skillet, and that's how we always made this kind of food at the table, because we didn't have portable burners and whatnot. And she would just plug in the electric skillet at the table with an extension cord, and she would cook the food like this. She would pour in the liquid, put all the vegetables in it. At that time we had meat, and she would put the meat in one corner, and then we would put the lid on, let it cook, and then we would all sit around the table and have bowl after bowl of the sukiyaki. So yeah, use an electric skillet. You don't have to buy anything,
That's great.
or you
That's
can use
great.
a regular skillet. Yeah.
The Donabes are good. I know I've seen some smaller ones. They were probably not the super fancy ones, but sometimes I've seen them at the thrift store as well.
Oh yeah, yeah. A lot of people buy them probably and just don't know what to do with them.
Or get gifted
Yeah.
them too, I think. Um,
Yeah, yeah.
I found an Italy steamer actually at the thrift store that I got. So usually you have to go to the
Yeah.
Indian market to get one of those. So keep your eyes open.
Yeah.
Chef Julia, I'm just wondering, I
Yeah.
know it's becoming spring here. So when I was taking a walk, everything's blooming. Are you having some allergies, or is it just from talking and doing so many lives?
I don't know. I think I'm losing my voice from talking all day long.
Maybe.
Between
That
doing
happened to
3 or 4
her.
lives a day
That
and
happens to me
talking
too.
to people, it's like my voice is just I'm losing it. So I'm sorry for my voice quality, but
Oh,
I
no,
don't have
no.
allergies. I never do.
Okay. Okay.
It's just I've got some hot tea, so I need to just keep drinking my warm tea. Maybe
Like,
I'll take a little break between now and 5 o'clock and rest my voice.
there's been a few times that Kathy's lost her voice, like doing lots of lives in a
Yeah.
day.
Yeah, it can you don't notice it until it already happens, but we're going to let you go. And I
Yeah.
really, again, I apologize
Okay.
that it took so long for you to have to get back in, but this was amazing, as I knew it would
Thank
be.
you.
And again, one day when we finally get to come visit you, you're going to have to show us all this lovely Donabe cooking in person.
Yep.
Yes, I would love to do that. And it is in the bundle, and the link in the bundle to in my ebook. There's a link to a full-length video, like an hour or something, about how to use the Donabe stuff and how to cook it.
Oh,
And
wow.
there's also one on how to make the onigiri. So that's part of my ebook in the bundle. It has those 2 videos. They're on YouTube and they're unlisted, so only people that have that link can get in and see them. And I do this whole thing that I just did, but a little probably more detailed in that video. So, check it out if you get the bundle.
Oh, that's awesome. We'll
Yep.
go watch that
Yeah.
tonight while we're eating whatever I end up
Okay.
making today. I have no idea. It's bundle week. Who knows? But thank you so much as
Oh,
always for being so generous with your
wait,
time.
one last thing,
Ooh,
Kathy.
absolutely.
Best thing I made so far. I can't say it's the best thing, but one of the best things I made is from the Date Lady, and it is homemade Snicker bars. And there are 3 layers, and
Oh
one
my
is like a
goodness.
crust, a nougat layer, and then a chocolate layer with nuts in between. And I took some of these to my friend yesterday, and they devoured them. And then when I came home, my husband said, "I ate one of those bars. It tasted like a candy bar. It was good." So you have to make those, but if you make them, give them to friends. Just eat a couple because they're super rich, but they're better. I hate to say this, but they're better than probably everything I've ever made that was supposed to be like a Snickers date flavored cookie or bar. So,
Awesome.
and I use date paste, Date Lady's date paste. I ordered it using the coupon in the bundle, but normally I don't even ever have date paste around. So that did make them really good. But anyway, I just wanted to throw that out there
Well,
because
her date paste is
that's my number one
significantly
thing I think I've made.
That's great. Did you notice too her date paste though?
Yeah.
Like it's serious. It's thick. It's not like the date paste I
Yeah,
make
yeah.
at home either. It's so at first when I bought it, I was feeling
Yeah.
kind of guilty because I'm like, well, I could make that at home. But then when I realized for the price, the amount of actual dates she's using versus the amount of dates I would use
Yeah.
to make that paste are a lot more.
Yeah.
Well,
And
you
it didn't take that much of it. It was like modeling clay. I took the date paste and mixed it with the whatever other ingredients, and then I took it and I just molded it to the size of my loaf pan with my hands. It was so like clay, and I
Wow.
stuck it in there, and then I froze the whole thing. I tempered my chocolate so that it would stay nice and at room temperature, and it set up beautifully and it cut great. So if you need a special dessert, between that and the Goodman chews, I
Yeah.
like this better. Don't tell Chef AJ, but I like this better than the Goodman peanut chews. She's
I,
probably not going to watch this, hopefully.
you never know. She won't be
She's too busy.
offended. She's
Yeah, yeah.
so someone was saying, do you store the date paste in the fridge? I do store the date paste in the fridge.
Any date thing I always store in the fridge just to keep it fresher.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Well,
anyway, I really, I hope you enjoyed this, and I always enjoy talking to you guys. And Kathy, two of your books were in my top 15 bundle picks. I did a reel on my favorite bundle contributors, and I had like the covers, and two of your books are in that 15 flashing by.
oh,
So
thank you
hopefully,
so
I
much.
just like everything you do. So thank you so much for all you've done for our plant-based community for so many years. What year did you publish your first vegan cookbook?
I think 2010, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
was
I mean, I
2010.
had your books before, yeah, way before any of this. I started buying them early, like in 2017. And I think I probably saw you at, did you ever go to the Food Bloggers International conferences?
Yes, I did go to a couple of those too.
I think you were a guest speaker at one of the first ones I went to because I remember saying, "Oh, I've got one of her books or her books or something." I think it was you, but at that time I wasn't doing anything myself. So
And
anyway,
look
one
at
day I
you
hope to meet you.
now.
Yeah.
Now you're doing all
You're a
the things, and
superstar.
I love your food. I really I love learning about new to me cuisines. Like I ate some Japanese
Hmm.
food, but they're just, if you go to a Japanese restaurant here, there's just not a lot that I get to try. So I really
Hmm.
appreciate you making
Right?
all
Yeah.
this so that way I get to really
Hmm.
learn about
Yeah.
that. And that looks
Yeah.
so
And we
good. I
can
It
have
want
does
this
look
it
so
whole
right
good.
plate.
now.
Mm.
No oil. Very low in anything other than maybe the little sodium from miso that's supposed to be good for you. So you could cut back on that. But even with the tiniest bit of miso, you still get so much flavor. So it's a good meal for people trying to eat low calorie density food because it's basically food and water. You can't get much lower calorie density than that. So I love it. And, that's how people in Japan, they were naturally healthy and thin and didn't have health problems because they used to eat like this. They used to eat a lot of big vegetable meals. If they ate meat, it was a tiny bit that was mostly, tofu, rice, vegetables, but once the Western diet moved in and there's a Kentucky Fried Chicken on every corner, well, now you see a lot of people that are struggling with a lot of weight problems over there because they're eating our food.
Yep.
Well, hopefully that'll change a little bit as well.
Hmm.
And just
I hope
thank you
so.
so much, and thank you for all that you help us learn, and all of your lives, and all the hard work you're doing right now too. Now in the bundle and all year round too, because you go live all the
Yeah.
time. Well, I'm going to let
Well,
you rest
thanks
up
to
a little.
you, and I can go live more often. So, all my learning how to, because you told me to use Ecamm, so I got the Ecamm, and you gave me all these hints, so I've been following them. So, thanks to you, I'm a lot braver, and I'm able to actually use this technology for now. So, I appreciate that too. So, thanks for everything you've helped me with, Kathy.
Oh, well, thank you so much. I just can't wait till we get to meet in person. It's
Yeah.
going to happen. I feel it. I just don't know
Yeah.
when. And with it being bundle week, I
Yeah,
can't imagine ever leaving my house again. But I will feel differently
I
next
know.
week.
Yeah.
I just want to go
Yeah.
to
Well, you
bed for a
guys take
couple of
care.
days. All right, you too. And
We'll see
Yeah.
you.
take care of
Yeah.
your voice, and
Bye
we'll talk
bye.
to you
Take
real
care.
soon. Bye,
Bye.
everybody.
Yeah. Hot tea. Bye bye.